Okay, fine, I'll do more Donkey Kong. Let's talk about Jungle Beat, one of the strangest and most underrated video games I have ever played. Originally I was going to do a level ranking, and I may still do that depending on this video's reception, but first I wanted to test the waters with a short and simple review where I just kinda talk about whatever I find interesting. Which, in this game's case, is pretty much everything. I feel the bongos and the bizarre control scheme are the only things ever brought up when people talk about this game, so for today I'm just gonna be looking at the Wii port. That's the version I grew up on, and I didn't even know about the original until I was well into my teens anyway, so for the sake of this video, I'm mostly going to pretend it doesn't exist. Trust me, there is plenty to talk about outside of this weird-ass controller. No more wasting time, let's jump into this fever dream of a Donkey Kong game. I suppose the best place to start here is the plot, though there isn't much to it at all. The other kingdoms, didn't know there were multiple kingdoms in this universe, but sure, whatever, have been invaded by wild beasts, and it's up to Donkey Kong to reclaim the crowns for himself. It's about as simple as a video game plot can get, and for a series like Donkey Kong, I greatly appreciate that. Visually, I think this game looks really nice. It's definitely aged and it has some pretty flat textures, but it also has some really good lighting and a gorgeous fur for DK. And in typical fashion for this franchise, the music is amazing. It's dynamic and actually shifts based on your gameplay, adding chance and ramping up in intensity, and I love when games do this. There aren't quite as many individually memorable songs that I'd listen to outside the game compared to the rest of the series' OST, but even still, I'd struggle to call this anything less than a phenomenal soundtrack. There are 16 main kingdoms to explore, each consisting of 2 levels and a boss fight, and they're all named after various fruits for absolutely no reason. Not including bosses or the Moon Barrel, that adds up to 32 levels total, making this the shortest main game in the franchise. On top of that, 4 of the kingdoms are totally optional, meaning an any percent playthrough is even shorter and clocks in at around 4 to 5 hours tops. That being said, what the game lacks in content, it more than makes up for in replayability. Each kingdom has 3 crests to earn, one for 200 bananas, one for 400 bananas, and one more for 1,000 bananas. You may think this means exploring each level thoroughly to hunt down each and every banana, but for the most part, the challenge is actually less about finding them and more about how you collect them. This game has an intricate combo system that builds up when you string various actions together, such as wall jumping, backflipping, using an animal buddy, swinging off vines, and so much more. Each of these actions adds to the combo streak, indicated by fairies surrounding Donkey Kong, and multiplies the bananas you grab. For example, if you have a combo of 4, every banana you pick up is worth 4 times their value, 4 for singles and 12 for bunches. To make things even more complex, you can grab all the bananas nearby by pressing A in midair, and each banana grabbed this way also multiplies, stacking on top of your combo multiplier. Doing the same action multiple times won't add to the combo, but it does maintain it and allows you to keep the streak going. You don't actually collect any of the bananas you've grabbed during a combo until you've touched the ground though, and if you take damage before that happens, every single banana you grabbed is gone forever. This leads to a high-risk, high-reward gameplay loop where you have to decide if continuing the combo is worth risking dozens or even hundreds of bananas you've built up. In addition to earning your crests, the bananas also act as your health bar for that kingdom's boss fight, and any damage you take during it will subtract bananas from your grand total. This system is a ton of fun and makes this game a really unique take on a 2D platformer, but there's also some pretty major issues here. There's dozens of bananas here that are very clearly supposed to be picked up like in a normal Donkey Kong game, but due to the combo streak and mid-air grabbing, you're encouraged to stop, backflip, ground pound, and air grab every single time you see even a single banana. This is really stupid and slows down the pace a lot, though thankfully doing this isn't necessary to get 1,000 bananas in any of the kingdoms. This is a really simple thing to fix too. All you'd have to do is add another banana type, maybe green ones, that can't be grabbed and aren't impacted by the combo streak. That way bananas spawn from the ground, bananas in bubbles, and bananas dropped by defeated enemies are still unaffected, but bananas sitting out in the open don't feel like a chore anymore. On a more positive note, I really love how water allows you to maintain whatever combo you had before you jumped in. It's fun figuring out the best way to enter a body of water, and it makes the sections much more tense and interesting since any damage will still take away all of your bananas. This combo system really is the life and soul of the game, because whenever Jungle Beat tries to be a more standard platformer, it's usually a janky mess. Donkey Kong feels super stiff to control, and trying to make more precise jumps or move out of the way of an attack feels unnecessarily slow. However, there is a new move in DK's arsenal that helps a lot, the Soundwave attack. With the power of clapping really good, Donkey Kong unleashes a powerful shockwave in whatever direction you're holding, which can stun enemies, pop bubbles, and... No, that's actually about all it does. When holding onto an animal buddy or sliding down a wall, this move becomes a massive AoE that hits on all sides, which is really cool but a little overpowered since there's basically no cooldown. And aside from this hand slap move that can be used to grow seeds for some reason, that's pretty much DK's entire moveset for this game. Not an expansive arsenal by any means, but it definitely gets the job done and leads to some really unique gameplay sequences. I won't go much into the level design since I still want to make that level ranking, but I will talk about the animal buddies. All 4 of these guys have only ever showed up in this one game, which is somewhat disappointing since I really like them. The Hellibirds and Flurl the Squirrel show up all over the place and actually add to your combo counter too. I really like that these guys can have sections based around them without taking up the entire level, something the rest of the series rarely does. Hoover the Wildebeest is only found in ice levels for some reason and acts as this game's equivalent to the minecart. He constantly charges forward and shatters any ice in his way, but you can actually slow him down to line up pineapple throws or dodge attacks as well, which is a really nice feature. The last of the animal buddies is Orko the Killer Whale, who shows up at the very end of one level and never again. I'll wait to talk about him for when I do that level ranking, I guess. Now it's time to talk about enemies in combat, and oh my god, there are some weird designs in here. If you thought Mario Sunshine had weird-looking creatures, you clearly have not played this game yet. A giant spider that blinks in a rhythm you'll have to follow, frogs and jellyfish that inflate when hit with a shockwave, and these Angry Bird pig knockoffs that breathe fire and rush you like a bull. Smaller enemies just explode when they're hit with one of the shockwaves, but bigger enemies are left stunned for an absolutely brutal follow-up attack, where Donkey Kong unleashes a ruthless flurry of punches. All you're doing is shaking the Wii Remote and nunchuck a bunch, but the sound and visual design make this simple action some of the most satisfying combat in any video game.
Get!
There's some pretty fun enemies to fight, like the Cocoa Pigs that require you to catch their coconuts and smack them into their tree 3 times, the Rolling Frogs that you actually have to fight while wall jumping, and the Tar Man, who looks like Oscar the Grouch just climbed out of the depths of hell. These guys are great because they're fought in a ton of different areas that all require different strategies and movement to defeat. On the opposite side of the spectrum, though, we have stuff like the Big B that literally just sits there and blows wind most of the time, the Mini Panda that dies in one punch and looks nothing like a panda in the Wii version, the... What the hell is that? What am I looking at? Why? What happened in the office that day where they're like, yeah, this is a thing that we're actually going to put in the game, and they did it twice? This is the Wii port. They could have just, cut it from the Wii version so that we wouldn't be subjected to this nightmare fuel, but no, they put it in anyway. And it's not even fun from a gameplay perspective either. You literally just wait for it to fall asleep and grab its head. It's... What is this? What the hell, man? Some very questionable designs aside, the bosses are where things really start to get good. They're split into 4 types: Rock, Tusk, Hog, and Kong, and each type has 4 different variants to defeat. The Tusks are massive mechanical elephants that shoot a large variety of projectiles, but they're a pretty massive step down from the rest of the bosses. Every other boss type allows you to get in their face and go to town with punches, but with these guys all you can do is throw these explosive pineapples. It is a nice change of pace, and the explosions are still satisfying, but ultimately I'd rather be fighting anyone else. Such as the Hogs, pig-like creatures with Cole McGrath's powers that zip all over the arena and have to be stunned with coconuts. These guys are great, but since you can just walk up and punch them at any time to force a coconut out, the fights usually end up devolving into dodge, coconut, flurry, dodge, coconut, flurry, which is pretty lame and really easy. That being said... God damn, this game is so satisfying. The Rocks are giant birds that shoot meteors and blow dangerous gusts of wind, and to defeat them you'll have to crack their egg. I don't know why doing that kills them, but seeing Donkey Kong headbutt the thing in a display of raw rage is one of the coolest parts of the game. On paper, the Rocks should be my favorite of the boss types since I love their arenas and design, but it's just way too easy to stun lock them, and unless I'm purposely screw around, I only ever see them attack 2 or 3 times for the entire battle. The remaining 4 bosses are the evil Kongs, and I absolutely love these battles. They're essentially just punch-out fights, and considering Donkey Kong would go on to cameo in the Wii reboot of the franchise, this actually makes a lot of sense. And my god, all 4 of these fights have an absolutely flawless atmosphere. Dread Kong is up in a dark canopy where the only light source is the torches of helper monkeys watching in silence. Karate Kong is on a log speeding down the river, very conveniently staying in the center of said river somehow. Ninja Kong is on a rock platform in the middle of a destroyed battlefield, and Sumo Kong is literally on a meteor plummeting down towards the planet below. They may be short and pretty bare bones mechanically, but these are still easily my favorite bosses in the Donkey Kong series. Each one has their own patterns to learn and uncover, and aside from Sumo Kong, they can all be stunned out of these patterns with a well-timed punch to add just a little bit more depth. I love these guys and really hope we get to see them in a future entry, though I think that's highly, highly unlikely. After defeating Ninja Kong, the Moon Barrel unlocks, giving it access to one more level. Versus Cactus King. That's the best name you could come up with? Alright, sure. It's a super short level that only takes about a minute, but after it's over, we come face to face with the king of all kings himself. After we easily dispose of his flaming pig guy, he gets in a battle stance and beats his chest. This fight is very bizarre. He doesn't actually attack until he gets in close, and at that point all you can do is shake the controller and pray. Sometimes nothing will happen and you'll take damage. Sometimes you'll grab him by the legs and hurl him into the wall. Sometimes you'll enter this weird close-up state where DK is just kind of floating there and you have to kick him in the face. This fight actually sums up my feelings on this game as a whole. It's janky and inconsistent, super short, and extremely bizarre, but when it works very well and feels unbelievably satisfying. After he's defeated, we get 800 bananas, which allows us to get 3 crests in this level too, and after the credits, we come back in to find another level. Versus Ghastly King. Oh my god. It's literally just a harder version of the one we just played, and the king only gates one new attack, shooting green bouncy balls. That does actually make things much more interesting though, since it gives you something to do while he's walking towards you and can be pretty tricky to dodge. Once he's defeated again, we get another credit sequence and come back to find another level. We fight Ghastly King for the 3rd time here, but we also get to fight the 4 Kong bosses back-to-back beforehand. Spoilers for the level ranking, this is easily the best one in the game. Is it lazy recycled content? Absolutely, but any game that contains a boss rush is automatically a much better package for me. Metroid Prime was my favorite Metroid game for so many years, but Dread coming along and adding a boss rush mode was the one push it needed to put it over the edge. That's how much I value these things. Once it's over, we get one final level that just acts as a celebratory victory lap with hundreds of bananas, and that wraps up Donkey Kong Jungle Beat. Is it a masterpiece? No, far from it. It's plagued with strange decisions, repetitive boss fights, and janky movement, which are all pretty massive downsides for a 2D platformer. But is it a complete dumpster fire that deserves to be forgotten? Absolutely not. It's incredibly ambitious, shamelessly unique, and all in all, just a ton of fun. In fact, I enjoyed this game quite a bit more than the original Donkey Kong Country. Sure, it's nowhere near as influential and doesn't hold a candle to that game's atmosphere, but it's not trying to do that. Aside from being a 2D platformer starring Donkey Kong where you collect bananas and ride animal buddies, there are very few similarities between this game and the rest of the franchise, and if you ask me, that's its biggest strength. It's off doing its own thing, unapologetically embracing the wackiness, and I wouldn't have it any other way. While not everything it tries to do sticks to the landing, Donkey Kong Jungle Beat is a fantastic game well worthy of being a part of this amazing franchise. Believe it or not, I still have plenty to talk about with this game, so if you like this video and want to see my level ranking, let me know by leaving a like and subscribing. Doing those things helps my videos tremendously, pushing them to be recommended to more people, and after my biggest project ever flopped harder than I could have ever imagined, I could honestly use the support. A special shout out to Frost Knight from my Discord server for both helping me with the script and making this incredible thumbnail. If you'd like to join the Discord for free, you can do so with the link below. Have a fantastic day, and I hope to see you in the next one. No, not you. You are not coming. You're not invited. Get the hell out of here. I never want to see you again. God, that thing is gross.